How would it feel if you woke up one day and put on a new set of clothing that no one had seen you wear before? This new garment you're wearing seems to be causing an uproar. Others treating you very differently. You feel like people are staring, even spouting mean things. And it's uncomfortable. Yet, you're the same person underneath. So, what's the problem, you ask? Could it be that what you're wearing is offensive? They don't like your style, maybe? Or is it because you look like this? On today's show, I'll be sitting down with Tara Ijai, who will share how her experiences of fear, prejudice, and hate actually started a revolution. A love revolution. Welcome back to An Unconditional Life. Hello and welcome to An Unconditional Life. I am your host, Joe Atalig. I'm just so grateful this morning. I woke up with just this heart of gratitude and knowing that just waking up, I had everything that I need in this life. And so it's with that heart and that energy that I just greet all of you and say thank you for joining us today. If you're watching this live or on a replay, my intention with An Unconditional Life is to bring those that I come across who embody the idea that love is still the answer and that it is the forefront and the grounding to living a life without conditions. And I had mentioned previously, I just am enamored with the word unconditional. So I'm one of those people that like to delve into a word to get its deepest meaning, to look at it from different angles and perspectives, to really cement what this word means. So when I looked up the word unconditional, some of the synonyms and some of the descriptions were limitless or unlimited or uninhibited, wholehearted and complete. Now, we do hear the idea of unconditional love, but how much even more powerful would it be to embody that for our entire life? So an uninhibited life. So that means being your true self, being aligned to who you are, behind all of the things that we present to the world, your true self, your most authentic self, your highest self, and wholeheartedly showing up just as you are, which what a beautiful thing. And this morning, I'm so tickled that I get to bring on a guest who is just going to really cement the idea that love for all is what's going to change this world. So I want to speak and talk to you and introduce to you Tara Ijai. And Tara lives in Phoenix, Arizona with her husband and two teenage boys. She is the founding love rebel. I love that term, at Love Glasses Revolution. And you'll find her sporting her heart-shaped sunglasses and incessantly advocating for love. She's always reminding herself and others that there is always a choice on how to show up. Now, one thing I absolutely know is that Tara believes love is an action word, and that means getting involved and helping to lift your community. And I know, and I would absolutely affirm her that she's a love activist, a love ambassador, and she embodies it like no one I've ever met. And I'm so excited to bring on Tara Ijai. So let me get Tara in here. There she is. Hello, Tara, and welcome to An Unconditional Life. I'm so excited to have you on. Look at those vivid colors all around, right? I love that background. So,
in color.
Okay. That's awesome. Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you coming on. And, it was cool the way that we met, through social media. And I just started to see, just through images actually on your Facebook page, the work you were doing without reading a thing. And that is the power of, seeing love in action, right? And you were in Los Angeles visiting an organization. I don't recall the name of it, but you were just so tickled. Are you
The
recalling
love
that?
activists.
Yes.
They're literally called the Love Activists, and we
Yes.
are an organization that is trying to teach about love, loving yourself, loving others, love the earth, and then acting. So it kind of fits our vibe perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. And then shortly after, when you returned to the Phoenix area, we had a phone conversation. We hadn't met even, face to face or through Zoom. And we talked for maybe almost 2 hours, I think it was. And it was so cool to, just feel, right, that we were so aligned in our outlook and how, the power of love, can just absolutely transcend the things that we see with our naked eye. So, once again, I'm so excited that you're on. I want to kick things off, however, talking about this idea of an unconditional life. Okay, so when you hear that term, what things come to mind for you? What is living an unconditional life?
Yeah, that's powerful. Without limits, without barriers. Yeah, I mean, just real briefly, what I think of is that all my life I grew up, being told I was very sensitive and very emotional kind of person.
You're right.
I definitely internalized that as a bad thing, a negative. It kind of comes up that way. And then when I made the intentional choice through the series of events to choose love, I was stopping my own self that whole time. Like, so now I just made it an intention. I'm going to love, and I don't care who, what, where, when. I'm going to love everybody, including myself. And that's still a work in progress because we've talked about that. But it's loving without limits every day lets you have, I think, an unconditional life. Like, it's so strong, the power. Like, you wake up every day and you're like, who am I supposed to meet? Who am I supposed to know today? And it won't be long before you're like, okay, you're the
Yeah.
one. Yep.
Yeah. And then many times in that instance, I've also discovered that in life being a mirror, we receive it back too. So those people that we're drawn to, we're the givers of it and the receivers of it as well. Sometimes it's tough for us to receive. Would you agree?
It's definitely easier to give than to receive. And someone shared with me the other day that I have to make sure to complete that loop, that it's a circuit. And you have to have all of it to complete the loop. And I really like the way that was
Yeah.
presented.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I was working with, he's become a good friend, but he's an author of 5, 6 books. And his name is Jim Palmer. And we were talking about the idea of this thing called unconditional love. And I asked him, I said, could you help me to, just through, he's a master at helping to unpack ideas and thoughts to get really clear, on what is it that I want to say and express. And so through questions and me just responding to, his inquiry, we derived at a definition of love that really set well with me. And it was that love is the unconditional commitment to the well-being or the welfare of another. Right.
I like it.
And so when you I think about the well-being of another, and I think about what's happening in the world today. And how does love show up when it appears and feels like there are some people who are not lovable? Right. And I've come to resolve that it's a call for love. Right. And it also is a practice. So as I've declared that in this season of my life, that my intention and really my purpose and my mission is to embody and to be a source of harmony, radical acceptance, which is love, and love without condition. And how do we apply that when, our own human emotions come up when we see injustice, right?
Yeah.
And so as I kind of, speak about that, talk about your definition of love or maybe how you see love, and so as I can look at it from the lens that you look out of, right, we can start that as a jumping off point.
Yeah, I think where it started for me is, I had to really delve into what love looked like for me, because I wasn't feeling the love at one time, which is why we started a whole revolution. We'll get into all that. But as I started to get out into the world, because I was staying very depressed, isolated, away from people, in my own fields. It was about, me, my life. I think my first real awakening is when I went to a transgender awareness meeting. And I sat in the front row and I was looking at everybody on the panel and they were telling their stories. And I was absolutely in tears. And if you would have put me in the same place on that front panel, it would have been my life minus a few details. Like what they were sharing in their lives was so similar to what I had been experiencing. And I just realized that, there's so much, we're just so much more alike. I know it's a cliche, but it's so true. So much more alike than different. And that was powerful for me. And so I went on this quest of knowing, meeting, and loving people and trying to see where we all unite and where we can make things better for each other. Because I feel like loving everybody has different ways of showing up for different people.
Right.
And we can't do it the way that we want. Like if we go down the street and we see someone homeless or, unsheltered, I don't even like the word homeless, but it's, and you think like, okay, I'll give them $20. Is that helping you or is that helping them? Like, are you, maybe it's in the moment, but are you doing the real work to get them off the street? Are you doing what it takes underneath legislation, voting, sign a few petitions, delving deeper, working with organizations, understanding, being part of a bigger collective on how people are really doing things? I think we have to analyze how we show up, and it's constant.
Yeah. That reminds me of a time where I really got schooled because, I think in my mind I was doing the right thing in this scenario that I had with a homeless man. I've always been drawn to those that are, I love it, unsheltered. I'm going to adopt that. I really, really appreciate that. The difference in words and the meanings of them. Yeah. So thank you for that. But, I live in a city that is known to be one of the safest cities in the country. And here's this homeless guy at a Walgreens. I'm like, he must be coming in from out of town. I mean, look at me judging already, right? And he has this cart and it's like meticulously like organized. And I'm like, wow. So I drive into the parking lot and, I'm driving in with my Infinity going, hey, laying back, and who am I, right? And I'm parking and I look at my wallet like, oh, I'm going to give him something. So I had some cash. I had like $30. But I've always been intrigued. I always have befriended, people that I'm drawn to in that sense and have conversation. So I approached him and I said, hey, how are you? I said, my name is Joe. And I think his name was Ed, that I can recall. And I said, how long have you been on the streets? Since we just had this conversation, and it was actually for quite some time. I said, like, are you in a shelter? Are you somewhere that you go? He goes, no, I'd rather, be on my own. There are some things that, I don't care about those places, but I'm good. I'm like, wow, you're well organized. He goes, yeah, I think it's important. And then I said, where are you from? And we just had this conversation. I told him I was from San Diego originally. And he started saying, oh, I love San Diego. And we started this conversation. I said, do you need anything? And he said, no, I'm good. I was just like, what's happening right now? And we just continued to converse. And then he gave his opinions about the mayor of San Diego, the Chargers, and we just had a really cool conversation. And I thought, am I supposed to give him something? Or is this to fill my ego? Right. So I said, well, it's a nice meeting you. You know, he said he didn't need anything. And so I got back in my car and I was a little confused. And then I felt really good, but I was like, I'm supposed to give him something. So I drove around and I said, no, I better give him money. So I drove up to him. I handed him $20. You know, he grabbed it from me and he didn't say thank you or anything. I was like, huh, you know. And as I was pulling out, this always gets me. I was like, oh, heck, that was for me. Here I am driving up in my Infinity thinking like, yeah, I'm going to bless this man, right? I have cash in my wallet, you know. I have this, da, 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 da. And it was like, whew. When I said, do you need anything? He goes, no, I'm good. And I'm sure the $20 helped him. But I was like, thank you, God, for this incredible lesson, right, of what this man gave me.
Yeah.
Right. And so it started to layer on this idea of my own perception of what people need and the hero mentality, you know, put on the cape and save everybody. And so I began to really realize that it's about understanding. And because I know your story, I really want to go into that because I think there's a misunderstanding about who you are and what you represent based upon what you wear and who people think you are. So I want you to share with everyone, like, what happened that started this amazing revolution that you have started in this world. So forgive me, but I didn't think that was going to happen.
Beautiful. Stay authentic, Joe. Don't change a thing. But yes, I was, you know, I converted to Islam a long time ago. So I wasn't looking for it. I was just a path that took me there, and I embraced it. I liked everything that I knew about it at the time, which was, I mean, I knew basic principles, but not all of the things, the social nuances around it, you know? So I converted 2 months after 9/11. And I had already decided, right. I always had the timing. And I put on the headscarf and all of that. And I remember, because we're from New York, don't forget. And so my father called me crying and asked me to remove the scarf and all of that. And I said, you know what? I had made this decision. I'm going to go for it, you know? And that's what happened. I wore it. And I kind of feel like, looking back, I played small in my life. Like, I realized that when it came to 2015, when everything was happening with all the rhetoric, I don't know if you recall, but it was the Pulse shooting, San Bernardino shooting.
Oh, yeah.
It was, right. Things were on TV and not in a good way. I mean, I remember they were talking about internment camps. It was just crazy. And different things happened. And I couldn't take it anymore. And I called my brother crying. And he's like, he didn't know what to say, but he sent me this meme. It was a little guinea pig wearing heart-shaped glasses, and it said, I can't see haters with my love glasses on. And that was it. Like, I decided that I was going to be like this guinea pig, and I was going to go out in the world with my heart-shaped glasses, and if anybody, they're cooking now, if anyone said anything mean to me, I was going to be ready. I was going to be ready because I had been living with a lot of fear and despair during this time, because on my Facebook at that time, everything was trending. Like, I had a lot of Muslim friends, they're sharing all the hate crimes, they're up 67%. Like, it's fear, 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 fear. And I was eating it like for breakfast, you know? So I went out into the world and wore my glasses, and that is not what happened. People I was waiting for people to be mean to me. They were not. They just were waiting to ask me, oh, I love your heart-shaped glasses. I'm like, they're my love glasses. They choose love. And they're like, where can I get those? And, we ended up hugging and having conversations. It no longer mattered who I was and who they were.
Ooh.
And that's really when I understood that the love glasses were a vehicle for me, a vehicle to have this human connection, this powerful interaction of love that I so desperately needed at this time.
Yeah.
And then through this experience, because it was about me at first, of course, right? Just to survive.
Right.
I understood that really everybody is seeking this. We are all seeking this. So that's where it started.
Wow. Now the meme again was you can't see haters through what is it?
Can't see haters with my love glasses on.
With your love glasses on.
Yeah, it was a little guinea pig, and it was just. We often joke, when brother and I, like, he could have sent me any meme. Like, I could have had like a, who knows what kind of revolution, if he sent me a different meme, right?
Right. But something you were saying when you were sharing was about the idea of, like, you were looking at your Facebook and all of these things through social media around hate crimes and all that. And you said, and I was eating it for breakfast.
Yeah.
I
lived it. I was living it. I could feel it growing, every post, every share, even people that were just calling me and asking me, can I take you to the bank? Can I take you to the store? Like, my well-meaning friends, because they're seeing it too. It was so kind, right? It's such a kind gesture, but it was adding to this layer of, like, how bad is it out there? Because that was right before, if you remember, the elections and all that, and we were being used with rhetoric, and they were really, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy time. It really was. I mean, it was a very scary time.
Well, yeah. And earlier we talked about how many times we're misunderstood. What is it about Muslims and your faith that's important for people to know, to understand, right? About, the essence of your beliefs and the love that exudes from your faith?
Well, I mean, the reason I fell in love with it is because there's so many amazing points around it. I feel like Islam is a way of, it's a social justice religion for sure. I mean, going back, our first caller of the prayer was a black man, a black freed slave. I mean, this was 1400 years ago. This, and we talk about Islam being, you don't judge based on the color of your skin, but based on your righteousness, before God. And so, like, it's about your character, it's about your intent. And there's certain things in Islam that you have to care for your family, care for yourself, your family, your community, your neighbors, like you have an outwardly way. So I feel it's a very much a religion of action, of love in action. So, and over time that gets skewed with all of the rhetoric. I mean, anytime things would happen, you get labeled, and and that's what, it's been. There's always got to be a bad guy. It's always got to be somebody to keep someone else afraid of something. It's just historically how we do things, and so we were the ones for a minute, and now you see it's always someone, someone different, scary, other. You can see that in even movies, like, they make them dark and sinister and scary, and it's always, if you go to the Middle East, it's a terrorist. It's not going to be something, so it's a lot of rhetoric.
And it's a wake-up call for many in terms of exploring, being curious about, and questioning our conditioning and our programs and how we've adapted and adopted them, and not making ourselves bad or wrong or awful, but giving ourselves permission to really look at where those beliefs came from. It's one of the most powerful things that a person can do for themselves.
Correct.
And, as we move to this idea of seeing each other, that we're all alike, it starts within ourselves, right? So I'm going to put up here for those of you who are watching, visit myloveglasses.com and you'll start to really see and feel just the amazing work that Tara is doing with her purpose and her cause. Talk more about the revolution, what you've been able to do, and what's transpired in this work. Because for those of you who don't know, she sells love sunglasses, and I don't know if you've all seen them, but I've seen these heart-shaped glasses everywhere, and I'm constantly saying, "Oh my God, it's Tara!" So anyhow, share with us what's happening with the movement and some of the things that you've done.
I'd love to share how it even began with that. So
Yeah.
once I saw the power of it, right, and it kept happening, I told my husband, "Oh my God, like this has been the most exciting connection ever. Like we need to get more love glasses, and I need to give them to people. I need to make people feel good, and let them know." So he's like, okay. So he bought me a whole bunch of heart-shaped glasses in bulk, and I made these little pledge cards that I didn't bring. I wish I did. It says, "I choose to see the world with love," and then I explained why. And I would hand them out with every pair of love glasses to people that I would connect with. So I would be in line maybe with somebody, or we'd circle the produce aisle and Sprouts 3 times, and I'm like, I need to give food. You know what I mean? Like it was this reason that it didn't have to be a reason. It just, maybe if you just looked up at me and looked at my eyes and saw me, that was a reason. Do you know, at this time, this is how I was feeling. So it wasn't long before my husband is like, I don't think we can independently finance love in the world. That's 7 billion people.
Right?
Right? So I'm like, you're right. So that's where we had to start making a decision. Like, I didn't want to stop, though. I was addicted to this idea that these glasses could be something more, So we developed the website and we did all of this, but we still showed up in these spaces. But the first space that I showed up was at the Women's March. And I was really scared because do you remember all the crazy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot, right? It was after election. I mean, there was just, oh my God, right? So I was a little bit nervous to go. And I decided, okay, I'm going to show up my way. So I printed out a 12-foot Love for All banner. And it was 12 feet and it was massive. And it just said Love for All. And I showed up and people were like just in love with us. And they wanted to hold the banner. And I really realized that I didn't have to hide. That if I go out and I just led with that love sign, like that, I'm going to attract the type of people that understand. Like I have more friends, community, allies than I've ever had in my whole life by being intentional in how I want to show up. And it was very, very inspiring. So now that's what we live for.
That's beautiful. I want to bring up just a few comments. Karen Palmer here. Just wanted to send you. Love you, Tara, right?
Of course, parents,
yeah. Christy Lodato to affirming what we were talking about, right? We wanted to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, the 3 core things everyone desires, so, you have people watching who are affirming the things that you're sharing, and we're all alike. We are so it's cool. So thank you guys for being. And if you have any questions, please, type those in the chat if you'd like Tara to answer any questions for you. So, one of the things that you have said to me many times is that, Joe, love is an action word, right? It's an action word.
Yes.
It's a verb, right?
Yes.
And I know some of the things you're very active in the community and also with encouraging people, we appreciate the love and light, You told me this, and I just had to laugh. I mean, so we had this moment where you go, I appreciate the love and light, but like sign a petition. It's like
Yeah.
show up somewhere, right? And I'll never forget I have not been to a parade for I don't even know how long. And then, we were in touch in January, and I knew you were going to be marching in the Martin Luther King parade.
Yes.
So my daughters and I'm like, we got to go see her and the Love Glasses. And so, we perched ourselves on a curb. It was real cool for me because I hadn't experienced it in such a long time. We're looking and looking, and here you come around the corner, right? And we were so excited filming it, like, and we were like waving and saying, and then I saw you and I'm like, it's Joe, because we hadn't met, right? And you were like, I know. And you guys, she got out of her group and ran to me on the side, and we just embraced and hugged, and then she ran back to her group, and I thought that, wow,
you don't wait for love.
Oof, absolutely. No, absolutely.
That was a beautiful moment to see you over there and waving and supporting, and it was really neat. Every corner that we turned, because I think that banner that day was Martin Luther King Parade. We came, we marched, we loved banner.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, people really were rooting for love, and it's just so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So Gwen says love is an action word. Bingo. What a perfect thing for an activator. It's one of her strengths where when she feels something, she doesn't hesitate. She goes and does it. So very cool. Thanks for sharing that, Gwen.
We need more love. So
yeah, absolutely.
All day long. Thank you.
So what is your intention with Love Glasses? Share more about what you're seeing from a vision perspective, especially what's happening in the world today, even more vividly. Of course, we know this is not new, but share with, what you see in the future for Love Glasses.
So our mission is, like, we call ourselves a social impact enterprise. So yes, we sell heart-shaped glasses, but we consider ourselves a mindset, a movement, an attitude. It's a way to make the world a better place. And we try to find ways to focus on that. And I'm still learning how I want to do that. We support different nonprofits that are doing the work, like Love Activists, and local ones that are doing really great things here. But one of the things, we just have to keep seeing, I'm so sorry. We have to keep seeing how to show up, and that's always changing. Like you said, what's going on today in the community with Black Lives Matter. Isn't it just so sad that they have to scream that Black Lives Matter? They're just trying so hard to be relevant, and businesses want to make things politicized, but we have humans in our midst that are screaming to exist and to be loved and heard. And I just
absolutely.
So this is, something that we definitely care about, and we want to wait and see how to support, because we don't want to be a people that show up and support just the way we think they need them. We're listening. We're observing. What do you need? How can we help?
Absolutely. I'm going to put up a few images of the things that, of your. So this is actually the in the center there, right, is the sign that you mentioned, right? We came, we marched, we loved. And there's the love for all. I have both of those posters. Thank you. But what's cool is that, the Love Glasses, they look amazing on anyone, and some of these look like more novelty ones, but I should have put some others that people wear them as their sunglasses, and their styles are just beautiful. You want to speak to any of this?
These are all our love rebels. Over there, my son is actually up in the top left-hand corner behind the blue. And then Louisa Garrett, she's an activist in Texas who has a business called Make Kind Loud. And so she's over in Texas spreading and sharing the love over there. Like all of these people down in the bottom corner, that's Sarah, like, and the middle one with the red glasses, she's from El Paso. This is when,
Oh,
this was powerful because we got to deliver 1,400 the Love Rebels. All of our community, our followers, we call them Love Rebels, like rebel against the hate and the negativity, right? And
yeah.
they fundraised and helped us deliver. We drove there to deliver 1,400 pairs of glasses to the kids in the schools after the tragic shooting there. And we just felt it was really important because that guy drove all that way to deliver hate. We decided we would drive all that way to deliver love.
Okay, girl, you're just getting me right now in the heart. Yes. Wow.
We thought we were going. We thought maybe we were going to help lift spirits, and I'm telling you that by the time we left there, they were the ones lifting ours. I mean, that little boy in that picture, I mean, his glasses all crooked, smudged, a little gap in his teeth, telling me like, I'm going to love. I'm going to go out and love. I'm not going to be scared.
Yeah, I
I
love
mean,
it.
right?
Yeah,
So if we
absolutely.
can give hope to that generation that we're in this together, then I think we can really do some amazing things moving forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So share with us like a time where what you have been doing with love glasses sparked a conversation with someone that had them really, reflect on how they have viewed things and people and situations. I'm sure you've come across people where they've like, you talked about this little boy saying, I'm going to go love. But what conversations, especially around, what you represent in terms of, your own experience and people have heard your story. Do you recall anything that was really transformational of sorts?
I have a favorite story. It's
Yeah.
an 81-year-old woman from Louisiana. And
Hmm.
she called me. So when we first did this whole thing, it went, we started just showing up in places and it caught the eyes of someone in the paper. And then it ended up on NPR. And then it went on the cover of USA Today. This was like all this thing, like very organically and crazy all at once. So it ended up all over the country on the front page of the paper. And somebody from Louisiana, 81 years old, she called me. She got my number. It was kind of out there. It still is, I think. And she said, "Is this Tara from the paper?" Yes. And she said, "I just wanted to tell you that I had two ladies dressed just like you that used to come into my shop." And she was in an embroidery shop. She said, "I was so scared of them. I didn't know what to say to them. I was so scared because they wore all this, these clothes. And I read your article and I decided I was going to talk to them." And she said, "Do you know that they are so nice? They're so nice. And now we're friends. And I just wanted to get some love glasses so I'll never forget."
Wow.
And I mean, she was 81 years old.
Mm.
And I thought that was the most adorable story I've ever heard. And
Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah. And mind you, that there are people who you don't know have been impacted. I definitely learned that myself. We have an opportunity to show up without attachment of what the outcome is of what we're doing, who it's going to reach, who's going to understand it, who's going to embrace it, who's going to reject it. From my perspective, is like we show up because we know inside of our hearts that that's what we're here to do, right? To exude and show love. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily show up many times in likes and follows, but when people write you and say, I've been following you for like 2 years, thank you. I don't comment and I don't say anything. And I said, oh, okay. I appreciate that because many times our egos, we look for that validation. Are we doing the right thing? Are we showing up?
Yeah.
And so,
Right.
right. And it's not about, the numbers. It really is around doing our part, because if it's just one, it just takes one. That's it. It just takes one.
I was just thinking, I wanted to share with you that a lot of times it's like you say, I don't always know the end result of the conversations that we have, but
Yeah.
but it's helped me. The Love Glasses Revolution and being intentional in love has helped me show up differently when speaking with people. And I'd like to give you an
Yeah.
example of that. The other day, I was on Instagram and I saw somebody using my name and profile. Like, so it was literally my logo and it was literally my name, the Love Glasses Revolution, but just with a little, what do you call those? Underscore. And so
Wow.
I kind of took a screenshot of it and put it on Facebook, which is really my platform where a lot of my friends are. And I'm like, well, I think imitation is the best form of flattery. And, before long, you've got a lot of my friends like, you report it, repost it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, yes, but so I just reached out to this person and I said, I couldn't help but notice that you were using my logo and using our name. And I'm just curious as to what inspired you. Um, and she replied, and she was saying, like, I had no idea. I'm new to Instagram. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to take your thing. I love the idea of spreading love in the world, making the world a better place. And she said, I'm going to change it. And she did. She changed the logo to something on her own and then put like the love revolution or love
Cool.
yourself revolution. Like,
Yeah.
so she wanted to be part of this thing. And
Right.
so I just think before we approach people with something that we think they're trying to do, they're trying to copy us, they're trying to take our, I mean, like, what's our end goal? I mean, is it, she wants to spread love in the world. Like, this is great. Like, let's
Yeah.
foster that. Let's encourage that
Right.
and, and
Yeah.
work through it together. I mean,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that really, resonates with me. I mean, ultimately, I remember, creating a graphic of my own and, commentary, etc. And I saw it like cut and pasted somewhere else without any credit, right? And I thought, that doesn't feel good. And then I thought, wait a second, it's like the idea of flattery, right? Being, the greatest form of flattery. When someone duplicates it like that, I'm like, we're all drawing from the same source here,
right.
right? I mean, and it's like, who
There's
cares,
so much
right?
abundance. There's
Right?
enough for
Because
all of us.
love cannot be can be fraud. I mean, it can be defrauded, right? It's going to set out. It's going to accomplish what it sets out to do. It doesn't return void. And so I think that's a cool, story and idea, how we quickly react to things. But I want to touch on something really quickly before we run out of time, because you're very adamant about love is a verb,
Mm.
right? Love is action. Share with others what type of action, that they could entertain in terms of, furthering the cause of love.
So, you know, um, I look at it very straight up. Like, you have to have your way of connecting with your creator source, all of that, and loving yourself. And then also, you need to be in this earthly body, loving each other. So, to do that, I mean, we have to be civically engaged, basically. And so that's where I'm at with all of the love is an action. We have to show up in support of people and each other,
Yeah.
and that takes voting. That takes understanding the issues in the community. That takes active listening. um, and I surround myself with tons of people. So I have people that are activists, I have people that are in politics, I have people that are woo woo like me in the world, right? So, like, we have all of these elements together. We need all of it. to have an active situation, love activist situation. And of course, our glasses we look at as symbols of almost a social justice type action by wearing these. It's telling you that I'm going to love and I'm going to love for all. And in that journey, you have to figure out for yourself, what does that look like? What does love for all look like? And are you really loving all? And it's every day you've got to figure that out.
And including ourselves.
Including ourselves, and that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to finish with a question that was made famous by Tim Ferriss. He asked this on his podcast. He said, if you were given like an absolutely free billboard, right, for a message that that would be seen by thousands of people at the most prominent place in the city, what would that billboard say?
Just show up. Just show up, because it's scary. It's scary to show up, like you just have that vulnerability of just showing up. And I didn't know what was going to happen. It was the scariest thing I ever did, is to put myself, like I said, for 20 years, I played small, meaning like I just tried to hide out, people thought we were bad people. And if I kept living a small life, maybe I would scare people or make them afraid or, and then just show up. Use your voice. We need all of the voices, all of the ways, all of the love. We need all of you. It's not the time anymore to sit back and observe. Right.
Oof. I love it. And what a powerful, there was a gentleman, John Pogachar, who started a movement called Love on Every Billboard. And so I think he's hitting triple digits across the world of just the word love on a billboard. Yes. So it really has stopped people. It's like, wow, with no agenda whatsoever, no affiliation to anything. So the idea of just show up.
Just show up.
Right? is pretty powerful. That's awesome. So thank you, Tara, for coming on in Unconditional Life. It's just a joy, as always, to connect with you. And for those that are watching and listening, thank you for joining as well. And what's coming up in the next coming weeks is I'll be having someone on who has made a choice to run for president. Ooh. And he's a local guy in Arizona. And I would love to have you all experience his perspective on things. And I asked him about spirituality, and I'll let him share what that was all about. But it's a fascinating gentleman. And then after the following week, on July 4th, the Independence Day morning, I'm having a gal on who has had some of the toughest chronic illnesses and tragedies in her life, but she shows up every single day. And the resilience, her show is going to be called Resilient AF. There's nothing that can keep this woman down. And so I'm bringing her on the show as well. So those who are watching, I encourage you to follow the journey and the mission behind my loveglasses.com. You can also, Love Glasses Revolution. The site is called myloveglasses.com. Also on Facebook is Love Glasses Revolution, right? And then also, I will say, we're not going to be shy here. We show up every day, right? To impart, to demonstrate, to teach the undeniable possibilities when we do look at life through the love glasses of love. There's just no doubt about that.
Try.
And so, support what we're doing. Follow me at An Unconditional Life, both on Facebook and Instagram, as I continue to step into this even more full force than I ever have. So thank you all for listening, and take this weekend, right? Call somebody who's on your heart. Listen to that inner voice where somebody has come up. That's not a mistake. And surprise and delight someone with a word of encouragement, a word of love, and be with them. And so, and as we do that also, I would encourage each one of you sometime during this day, if you haven't already, to look yourself in the mirror and have a conversation with yourself and really stare deeply into the soul through your eyes and allow that connection to happen with yourself. Because everything, 1,000% of the things that we want out there for us is what we're crying for in here. We have the answer. It's inside of us. And as we strip away all of the experiences, strip away the conditioning, and all the stories that we have adapted, made up, and embraced, when those all fall away, I guarantee you what you will find is our commonality. And that's this unbridled love that sometimes is so indescribable. Can't find the words for it. Seek that love, and it will transcend your life. I promise. Thank you all for joining. Tara, I love you. And until next time, take care.
Bye, Joe.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.